In a stunning development that has already sent shockwaves through the country, the White House has officially approved a massive one-time stimulus payout of $5,000 aimed directly at struggling low-income households. This bold financial relief plan, described as both unprecedented and urgently necessary, was signed off after weeks of quiet deliberation behind closed doors, and it is set to change the financial trajectory of millions of families overnight. The decision is being hailed as the most aggressive economic lifeline since the pandemic-era checks. But what makes it even more explosive is the sheer size of the payout and the speed at which officials promise it will reach Americans' bank accounts. According to insiders, the funds could start hitting direct deposits within weeks, bypassing the endless red tape that usually bogs down government aid. For families living paycheck to paycheck, this isn't just a number. It's the difference between eviction and stability, hunger and a stocked pantry, despair and hope. Experts are already calling it a mini stimulus revolution, and the announcement has ignited a wildfire of speculation, excitement, and of course, controversy. The move comes at a time when inflationary pressures, rising rent prices, and skyrocketing grocery bills have left millions of Americans feeling squeezed from every direction. The administration, under pressure from advocacy groups and an increasingly restless public, finally caved to mounting calls for direct cash relief. Unlike previous programs that came with complex eligibility criteria or required endless applications, this stimulus is being framed as simple, straightforward, and life-changing. Eligibility is expected to cover households earning under a specific income threshold. Rumors suggest around $75,000 annually for individuals and $150,000 for families, though official guidelines will be released in the coming days. What's particularly shocking is the scale: $5,000 in one swoop, with no installments, no drawn-out dispersal, just a lump sum designed to immediately inject financial breathing room. This figure dwarfs earlier rounds of federal relief and has many asking, how is the government pulling this off, and why now? The answer, according to insiders, lies in both politics and economics. With election season looming and approval ratings wavering, the White House is betting big that cash in hand is the ultimate vote of confidence. But the story doesn't stop there. Political analysts are already calling the move a double-edged sword. On one hand, it offers undeniable short-term relief to families on the brink, instantly boosting consumer confidence and potentially supercharging spending in local economies. On the other, critics warn that such a massive payout could reignite inflationary flames and worsen the very economic pressures the administration is trying to soothe. Conservative lawmakers have blasted the plan as reckless, with some calling it financial gasoline on a fire we've barely contained. Yet supporters argue the opposite, that targeted cash to low-income families, who are more likely to spend it immediately on necessities, will not only stabilize households, but also funnel money back into struggling small businesses. Economists remain divided, but the debate is fueling a media frenzy unlike anything seen since the pandemic checks. Social media is ablaze with posts, hashtags, and viral videos as Americans react in real time, some sharing relief and gratitude, others venting skepticism and suspicion. The $5,000 headline has dominated every news cycle, sparking heated dinner table debates and water cooler conversations across the nation. Perhaps the most gripping aspect of this stimulus saga is the secrecy leading up to the announcement. Insiders claim that the decision was finalized weeks ago, but intentionally kept under wraps to avoid market disruptions and political sabotage. The final green light, according to leaks, was given after a series of high-stakes meetings between Treasury officials, economic advisors, and White House staffers. Reports suggest that the president himself pushed hard for the program, framing it as a moral duty in a country where wealth inequality continues to widen at breakneck speed. Families can't wait for trickle-down promises, one senior aide allegedly remarked. They need cash, and they need it now. With that mindset, the administration has launched one of the most ambitious direct relief campaigns in modern history, sidestepping bureaucratic delay in favor of speed and simplicity. Already, financial institutions are preparing for the influx, with banks warned to brace for record-breaking transfer volumes once the Treasury gives the go signal. The ripple effect is expected to be immediate. Landlords will be paid, debts cleared, grocery carts filled, and utility bills brought current. For millions, the relief will feel like a lifeline thrown just in time. Yet, looming questions remain. How sustainable is this kind of aid? Is it a one-off gimmick designed for political theater, or the beginning of a new era in direct government intervention? Critics argue that without structural reforms, like housing affordability measures, healthcare support, and wage increases, this cash infusion is just a band-aid on a deep wound. Supporters counter that sometimes a band-aid is exactly what's needed to stop the bleeding, while longer-term solutions are crafted. In the coming weeks, all eyes will be on the official rollout, the application process, the eligibility details, and, most importantly, the timeline. One thing is clear: the $5,000 checks are no longer a distant wish or online rumor. They are real, approved, and on their way. For millions of low-income households teetering on the edge of financial disaster, the message is simple but powerful. Help is finally here. And whether you see it as a lifeline, a political ploy, or an economic gamble, one fact is undeniable: this is the biggest cash relief headline of the decade, and its impact will be felt in every corner of America. The shockwaves from the White House announcement are still reverberating across the country, and now the focus is shifting from the what to the how. Americans are asking one burning question: when will the money arrive, and what will it mean for the future? Treasury officials have confirmed that the payments will be distributed in the fastest way possible, relying heavily on direct deposit systems already tested during earlier relief efforts. Those without bank accounts, often the most vulnerable, will reportedly receive prepaid debit cards or paper checks, ensuring no one falls through the cracks. But beyond logistics, the bigger picture is becoming increasingly clear. This is not just a check, it's a statement. By approving this unprecedented $5,000 one-time payment, the administration is signaling a new willingness to go bold, to prioritize everyday citizens over corporate bailouts, and to gamble on direct action rather than waiting for trickle-down economics to do its slow, often disappointing work. It is, in many ways, a declaration that the government understands the urgency of the moment and is prepared to act accordingly. But with such a massive undertaking, the road ahead is far from smooth. Financial experts are already dissecting the potential consequences. For households living paycheck to paycheck, the infusion of $5,000 is nothing short of life-altering. Families will be able to cover rent for months, pay down crushing credit card debt, afford overdue car repairs, and finally fill their refrigerators without counting every dollar. Mental health experts have pointed out that the psychological relief of financial stability, even temporarily, cannot be overstated. Stress, anxiety, and hopelessness tied to money woes often lead to a ripple effect of social problems, and this relief could temporarily ease those burdens for millions. At the same time, economists warn of possible pitfalls. An injection of cash on this scale could drive up consumer demand, putting pressure on supply chains already stretched thin. Will grocery shelves empty? Will housing markets inflate even further? Or will the spending primarily stabilize households without igniting a fresh wave of price hikes? No one can say for sure, and the uncertainty is fueling intense debates among financial think tanks and Wall Street analysts. Politically, the decision is proving to be dynamite. Supporters of the administration are already touting the move as proof of a government that cares about its citizens, a tangible demonstration of leadership in action. For struggling voters, it's a reason to believe that Washington still has the power to deliver real change. For critics, however, it's ammunition. Some lawmakers have lambasted the plan as irresponsible election year bribery, a desperate attempt to buy votes at the expense of long-term fiscal health. The deficit hawks are sharpening their arguments, warning that the national debt will balloon under the weight of this initiative and future generations will be left footing the bill. But amid the political theater, ordinary Americans are less concerned about macroeconomics and more focused on survival. For a single mother facing eviction, for an elderly couple choosing between food and medication, for a young worker drowning in student debt, The politics don't matter. What matters is that relief, real, substantial, life-changing relief, is finally within reach. As the plan takes shape, whispers of what comes next are growing louder. Could this open the door for recurring stimulus checks? Will it spark momentum for universal basic income, an idea once dismissed as radical but now gaining traction in mainstream politics? Or will it remain a one-off lifeline, remembered as a bold but isolated experiment? Already, advocacy groups are calling for the $5,000 payout to become an annual measure, arguing that the wealth gap in America is too severe to be patched with a single check. On the other side, fiscal conservatives vow to fight tooth and nail against making this relief permanent, framing it as an unsustainable drain on the federal budget. The battleground has been drawn, and the outcome could reshape the nation's economic philosophy for years to come. For now, though, the focus remains on the rollout. The official government portal for verifying eligibility and signing up for direct deposits is expected to launch soon, with step-by-step instructions to ensure even those with limited internet access or language barriers can claim their share. The stakes are enormous, and the White House knows that any misstep could turn celebration into backlash. In the meantime, the American people are holding their breath, waiting for the promised relief to land in their accounts. News outlets are running nonstop coverage, financial advisors are fielding frantic calls, and families across the nation are daring to hope again. Whether you view it as a political gamble, an economic necessity, or an overdue act of compassion, one truth is undeniable. This $5,000 stimulus has already changed the conversation. It has shifted the narrative from scarcity to possibility, from resignation to resilience. It has reminded Americans that sometimes, just sometimes, government can act boldly and directly to ease suffering. And while the future implications remain uncertain, whether inflation spikes, whether political battles intensify, whether the debt clock ticks louder, the present moment belongs to the people. Millions who have long felt invisible are finally being seen, heard, and helped. This is more than just a financial story. It is a human one, unfolding in real time, with every headline, every debate, and every dollar. And as the checks roll out, the nation will be watching, waiting, and wondering, is this the beginning of a new chapter in American economic history, or merely a fleeting headline in the endless cycle of politics and promises?